Riley Ulster TT 1934. In 1934 the Riley Competition Department finished 2 specially prepared imps in anticipation of that year's running of the 24 Heures du Mans. Chassis number 6024867 was road registered KV 9475 and would be driven by Frenchmen, Jean Trevaux and René Guerrieri as car number 39. Riley had entered 6 cars for the 12th Grand Prix of Endurance and all were driven to the circuit de la Sarthe via Brooklands in Weybridge for high-speed testing en route. Trevaux and Guerrieri had an eventful race following an off on the Mulsanne which necessitated repairs to the rear bodywork which cost the pairing 2 laps. All was not lost and after 24 hours, KV 9475 finished in 12th position. This was crucial as it enabled Riley to win the team award. Their compatriots, Sibilla and Delaroque also entered by Riley driving in mph model finished second overall having looked good for the win following the ailing Alfa Romeo 8C 2300 of Chinetti and E. Danslin which was suffering from a ruptured fuel tank. Having been driven back to the factory in Coventry after Le Mans, KV 9475 was spared little rest and was turned around in time for the International Tourist Trophy held on the Ards circuit near Belfast. One of 8 Ulster imps fielded by Riley, KV 9475 finished first in class and also set the fastest lap exceeding 72 mph. The Ulster imp was then sold to John G. who would campaign the Riley at meetings in the UK such as Donington and Southport Sands. After World War II, the Riley was sold by Bloomers of Grimsby who were Riley agents and the Ulster imp was bought by HW Motors of Walton-on-Thames, the home of HWM, the brainchild of John Heath and George Abbey Cassis. The sales agent at HW Motors was Fred Hobbs who enjoyed nothing more than exercising the cars in stock, and so KV 9475 was duly entered by him for the Brighton Speed Trials. Soon after, George Leighton, a pilot living in Ashford acquired the Riley from HWM. In May 1949, HWM had entered 3 cars for a race meeting on the Isle of Man and when Hobbs spoke to his local friend Mike Hawthorne, Mike informed him that his father, Leslie, would be flying his Fairchild Argus airplane to the island. Having asked Leslie whether there was a spare seat on the plane, Leslie informed Hobbs that he didn't have a spare seat but that he did have a spare plane, another Fairchild Argus and that if he could find a pilot, he could borrow the aircraft. Hobbs soon talked George Leighton who had continued to fly after the war, into flying them and some friends over for the meeting. Leighton would return the Ulster imp to HWM to be sold and it was in October 1949 that Leslie Hawthorne, owner of the TT Garage in Farnham bought the Riley for his son Mike's 21st birthday. Mike duly used KV 9475 on the road until it started to make an unhealthy noise due to the flywheel coming loose on its taper. Leslie was a talented tuner of both car and motorbike engines and whilst the engine was being repaired, the cable brakes were converted to hydraulic brakes. Once complete Mike was keen to use the Riley on the road again, but his father decided it would be best saved for competition use. On 2nd of September 1950, Mike Hawthorne made his 4-wheel competitive debut at the Brighton Speed Trials driving the Ulster imp in the 1100cc class. He won. 2 weeks later, Mike came second in class at the Gosport Speed Trials. Things were looking promising ahead of his first race. On 26th of March 1951, Mike Hawthorne and KV 9475 won their class at the Gamston race meeting. Hawthorne went on to score victories at both Castlecombe and Goodwood with a final tally of 6 wins, 4 second-place finishes and 1 third-place finish. These results also earned Hawthorne the Brooklands Memorial Trophy which was awarded by Motorsport magazine. Hawthorne had thus captured the minds of numerous owners and was soon offered drives in other competitive cars resulting in more victories before moving on to works drives for Jaguar, Ferrari, Van Wall and the Owen Racing organization. Mike Hawthorne became the United Kingdom's first Formula One world champion in 1958 shortly before his tragic death in January 1959. In the autumn of 1952, KV9475 found a new home in London and was raced at Silverstone before passing into the hands of Geoffrey Ackroyd, who raced the car at Castle Combe. The Ulster Imp then moved to the north of England when Ian Jordan from Kendal became the next owner, and subsequently John Brown from Burnley. In July 1957, an advert in Motorsport magazine placed by Chiltern Cars of Leedon Buzzard listed KV9475 for sale at £365. Mike Hawthorne wasted no time and bought back KV9475 with plans to complete a restoration and then display the Ulster Imp in the showroom at the TT garage in Farnham. Sadly, due to Mike's passing, the restoration was never completed, and 3 months later word soon got out that Mike's mother, Winifred, wanted to sell the Riley. One of Mike's closest friends, Tom Mayhew, tipped off their Riley-owning friend Tim Ely about the car, and in agreement with Winifred that the Riley would be in good hands with Tim, a deal was struck. Over the coming months, Tim Ely then went about rebuilding the Riley with a view to racing the car in VSCC events. He already had a road-going Riley Imp, so felt it more appropriate to finish what Mike had started to do to the Ulster Imp for competition use. Hawthorne had discussed with Ely some minor modifications he wished to make to the car, having already had plenty of circuit experience, namely a pre-select gearbox with positive stops instead of the vagueness of levers in a quadrant and in a central position, as Mike had over-revved the engine by mis-selecting a gear, and to update the braking system with the hydraulic one. Ely then raced the car for a number of years with appearances at Silverstone, Castle Combe, Thruxton and Oulton Park, with an annual trip to Prescott for the hill climb. Notable successes for Ely included a second place and 3 third-place finishes in the Sparrow Trophy, a race held by the VSCC for pre-war cars up to 1100cc, and victory in the 1100cc class at Prescott, having been runner-up 5 times no less. Having retired KV9475 from circuit racing, Ely continued to demonstrate and show the Ulster Imp with appearances at Le Mans, Ards, Dundrod and the mini Hawthorne tribute lunches held at the Barley Mow pub in Surrey. Ely's 61-year ownership of the Hawthorne Riley is a remarkable story. He has kept what can be best described as a charming scrapbook containing anecdotes about his friendship with the UK's first Formula One world champion, a large number of Mike's race results, and correspondence between previous owners of the Riley. In addition to the numerous magazine articles that have been written over the years on KV9475, the Riley is also featured in the late John Gathergold's book on the subject, The Riley Imp, Histories and Profiles. One of just 8 genuine Riley Ulster Imps known to survive, KV9475 is arguably the most important example and forms an integral part in the history of motorsport, having given Mike Hawthorne his competition debut.